Close your eyes for a moment and imagine waking up tomorrow with the strange feeling that something has finally changed. Not outside, inside. A different silence in your chest, as if life were organizing itself. In the next few minutes, you are not going to learn how to chase money. You are going to learn how to prepare yourself to receive, to align your mind, your subconscious, your vibration, so that money, abundance, prosperity can finally find its way to you. Because if your mind stays the way it is now, money will keep passing by and never staying. And that affects your financial life, your financial freedom, your financial destiny. And that was where everything began. He woke up every day with the same invisible weight on his body. He worked, paid bills, tried to do everything right, but deep down, he felt that his financial life was always stuck. Money came in and disappeared. And the more he thought about money, the farther away it seemed. He didn't believe in vibration. He didn't believe in the law of attraction. He didn't believe that mindset changed anything. That's just pretty talk for people who already have money, he thought. And without realizing it, living in survival mode, his mind repeated every single day, "I need money. I'm behind. I can't make mistakes." And the subconscious obeyed, creating exactly that reality. There came a moment when it was no longer just physical exhaustion. It was mental fatigue, a silent burnout from always running and never arriving. He watched other people prosper, unexpected money showing up for them, opportunities appearing out of nowhere, while he kept forcing things. And too much force is a sign of misalignment. But he didn't know that yet. The only thing he knew was that something inside him whispered, quietly, "This isn't it. It shouldn't feel this heavy." And that night, alone, in the dark, he sat on the bed and felt his chest tighten. It wasn't just a lack of money, it was a lack of hope, the feeling of living below what he was born to live. That was when he thought, maybe the problem isn't the money, maybe it's something in me. And that night, he thought it was the end. Without imagining, it was the beginning. The next day, something was different. Nothing had changed on the outside, but inside, there was silence. And in that silence, for the first time, he didn't ask for money. He simply breathed. And a strange thought appeared, almost like a whisper. What if money doesn't come because your mind isn't ready to receive yet? That question didn't come from logic. It came from the subconscious. It came from something greater. And in that instant, without realizing it, the frequency began to change. That morning, for the first time in a long while, he didn't rush. He didn't grab his phone. He didn't open messages. He didn't check numbers. He simply sat down and breathed. And he realized something uncomfortable, yet liberating. His mind was always at war, trying to control, trying to predict, trying to force money to arrive. But money doesn't respond to force. Money responds to receptivity. That was when he understood, not with words, but with his body. As long as I fight to receive, I am telling the world that I don't trust. And in that silence, the subconscious began to reorganize itself. Without knowing exactly why, he did something simple. He placed his hand on his chest and said, almost without a voice, "I am open to receive." Nothing magical happened. No lightning fell from the sky. But something loosened. His breathing grew deeper. His body relaxed. And the subconscious registered that phrase as an internal decision. The mind began, slowly, to leave scarcity mode and enter reception mode. It was the beginning of a mindset shift, a fine adjustment in vibrational frequency, still invisible, but real. The following days seemed ordinary, but they weren't. He began to notice details that had once gone unnoticed. A different conversation, an idea that appeared out of nowhere, an unexpected invitation. The subconscious, now calmer, started identifying opportunities. It was as if the mind had turned on an invisible radar. Napoleon Hill would call this a prepared mind, a mind that doesn't beg for money, but recognizes pathways. And when the mind changes, reality begins to reorganize itself. And then, without fanfare, without spectacle, something small happened. Money he didn't expect, a discount, a saving. It wasn't much, but it wasn't about the amount. It was about the signal. The subconscious noticed, something responded. And in that instant, a quiet gratitude arose. Not religious, not rehearsed, just a simple thought. Maybe there is something greater organizing all of this. And when that gratitude appeared, the frequency truly shifted. The inner field began to align. And in that almost invisible gesture, an entire life moved. After that small sign, he didn't rush to tell anyone. He stayed silent. And in the silence, something rare happened. He felt gratitude before the big change. Not performative gratitude, but a quiet, intimate, almost secret gratitude. Thank you. He didn't even know exactly to whom. Maybe to life, maybe to God, maybe to something greater that had always been there, waiting for the mind to calm down. And gratitude did something subtle. It dissolved the rush. Where there had once been anxiety, there was now space. And space is what money needs to find its way. He noticed a strange change in the way he thought about money. Before, the thoughts were heavy. I need, I'm behind, I'm afraid. Now it was different. Not euphoria, calm. I receive, I am prepared, I trust. And the subconscious listens to everything that is repeated in silence, repeated with emotion, repeated with truth. That was the real reprogramming of the mind. No struggle, no effort, just inner alignment, energetic alignment. That was when things began to move, quietly. A conversation became an invitation. An invitation became an opportunity. Nothing grand yet, but consistent. And consistency is a sign of open flow. He realized something important. Money was no longer arriving with tension. It arrived naturally. And the more natural it felt, the more he trusted. The more he trusted, the more his mind opened. It was a new cycle. His financial life was no longer being forced. It was being answered. On an ordinary night, before going to sleep, he paused. He took a deep breath. And for the first time, he asked for nothing. He simply said, "Thank you." Not as someone begging, but as someone recognizing. It was a simple gratitude, but a true one, and something clicked inside him, as if the mind, the heart, and the financial path had come into alignment. And when that happens, external reality has no choice but to follow. The change wasn't announced. It didn't come with fireworks, nor with ready-made phrases. It came in silence, in the way he got out of bed, in the time he took to breathe before responding to anything. Before, everything was reaction. Now, there was choice. And that changes everything. An aligned mind doesn't rush, it observes. He began to notice that he didn't need to say yes out of fear of losing, nor say no out of insecurity. Decisions started coming from a calmer place, more whole. And when the mind organizes itself, behavior follows without effort. He started entering places with more presence, without trying to prove anything, without trying to convince anyone. And that created something invisible, yet powerful. Energetic authority. People listened more, responded differently, trusted more. And trust is a silent bridge that money likes to cross. He wasn't pretending confidence, he was in alignment. And alignment changes the field. It changes the way life responds. It was after that that the unexpected began to move. Not like a shock, but like a fitting. Money didn't arrive shouting, it arrived recognizing the space. An old conversation came back to the surface. A message he almost didn't answer ended up becoming a turning point. And the curious thing was, he wasn't looking for anything. He was available. Available isn't passive, it's open. Open without anxiety, open without desperation. And that openness creates a field where opportunities feel safe to enter. He began to notice that proposals arrived without pressure, without artificial urgency. They arrived naturally, and that was new. Before, everything felt heavy. Now, it felt fluid. He understood something important. Money doesn't like to be hunted. It likes to be invited. And invitation is vibration. It's mindset. It's internal preparation. When money finally came in, the body recognized it before the mind. The chest didn't tighten. The stomach didn't contract. There was calm. And that was the greatest proof. Before, any money that came arrived with fear. Fear of losing it. Fear it wouldn't last. Fear of making mistakes. Now, no. Now there was space. The money came in and found room to stay. He realized something essential. It wasn't just about making money. It was about sustaining it. Sustaining emotionally. Sustaining mentally. That was the true financial breakthrough. Not a spike, but a new pattern. His financial life was no longer reacting to chaos. It was responding to alignment. And when money finds a prepared mind, it settles. It cooperates. It flows. It was at that point that everything clicked, not as theory, but as lived experience. He saw the cycle clearly. The mind changes first, then the vibration follows, and only then does external reality respond, always in that order, never the other way around. He realized how many times he tried to change reality without touching the mind, and now he understood why it was so exhausting. Internal preparation is the true beginning. That's where the path opens. That's where the subconscious starts working in your favor, identifying opportunities, connecting people, organizing circumstances. The law of attraction not as a promise, but as a consequence. Manifestation not as a miracle, but as alignment. The prepared mind became the portal, and money simply followed the open path. Nothing happened all at once, and that was a relief. Because what comes all at once usually leaves the same way. What came to him came in layers, as if life were testing him. Now, can you sustain this? And he could. Each new inflow came with more maturity, more clarity, more responsibility. He began to realize that prosperity is not acceleration. It is inner stability. New sources emerged. New ideas began to make sense. Ideas he would have dismissed before out of fear or insecurity. Now, he looked at them with calm, and he chose. His financial life began to open, not like an explosion, but like an open road. And he was ready to walk it. Without noticing, he became different. Not in speech, but in presence. People felt it. They felt safety. They felt clarity. They felt presence. And presence is rare. Money moves toward emotional stability, toward where there is no desperation. He didn't need to convince. He didn't need to beg. Opportunities found him because he was no longer closed. He became space, mental space, emotional space, vibrational space. And money likes space because space is trust. His vibration changed, and his vibration attracted money. Simple, deep, inevitable. Today, he understands something that once felt distant. Money was never the problem. The problem was the internal state from which he tried to receive it. Today, he no longer asks when it will happen. He asks, Am I prepared now? That question organizes everything. Actions become clearer. Choices become firmer. The subconscious works without sabotage. The mind collaborates instead of resisting. Financial life stops being a battlefield and becomes a continuous flow, a silent dialogue between intention, trust, and action. And in that dialogue, money responds. After some time, he noticed something curious. He no longer thought about money all the time. And precisely because of that, money began to appear more naturally. When the mind stops fixating, it releases space. And space creates flow. The subconscious, now trained, worked in silence, connecting ideas, anticipating movements, adjusting choices. It was as if something internal had taken the lead, not to force, but to align. Money was no longer a distant goal. It was a consequence of an organized mind. Even while he slept, something was happening. Ideas appeared upon waking. Solutions came ready. The subconscious no longer needed to be pushed. It was programmed. Programmed to recognize value. Programmed to notice opportunities. Programmed to avoid self-sabotage. That was the true automatic mode. Not magical, but conscious. A prepared mind keeps working even when you rest. And when you trust that, the flow intensifies. Money stopped being emotionally charged. No more guilt. No more anxiety. It became a tool. Energy in motion. He began to respect money, and money responded with respect. Because prosperity is a relationship. When you treat money as an enemy, it runs. When you treat it as a natural consequence of alignment, it stays. That inner maturity was a turning point in his financial life. Every day, in silence, he gave thanks. Not only for what arrived, but for what flowed. Gratitude keeps the field clean. It prevents fear from returning. It prevents scarcity from taking over again. It wasn't heavy gratitude. It was presence, recognition. And the more he recognized, the more life confirmed. Abundance no longer came in peaks. It came in consistency. And consistency is the sign of true alignment. Looking back, he understood something essential. Nothing changed outside before it changed inside. The mind opened the path. The vibrations sustained it. Reality followed. His financial destiny was not created then. It was unlocked, as if it had always been there, waiting for the right mind to access it. And when that happens, there is no return to the old pattern because consciousness has changed. Maybe now it is you at this point on the path, not at the beginning, not at the end, but at the exact moment when something inside is ready to change. Money only finds its way when the mind is prepared to receive. And that preparation is not force, it is clarity, it is trust, it is alignment. When the mind changes, the vibration follows, and financial life responds. It always responds. What part touched you? What within you wants to be reborn today?